alteration to the deal. For the first time in their conversation, something akin to wariness peeped through the drug-induced haze the man was under. "What?" "A change in date," the young storekeeper suggested. "Rather than have the debt default on the second week of the coming month, I would prefer to have it occur, which we both know it won't, 2 days before the end of this month." That wouldn't exactly give him any time to strip and sell the hunk of junk for parts, but it would give him something to show Hardlight's goons that he was good for the money. Most of it, at least. And who knew, the crazy junkie might even manage to drum up the cash in time. He wasn't counting on it, but he supposed stranger things had happened. "That's not a lot of time," the junkie murmured, unconsciously scratching at his scabbed elbow with a filthy fingernail as he eyed the exosuit to his right. "I don't know." "It's a sure bet, though, right?" "You have a tip," Erich pointed out, in a sudden role reversal. Fortunately for him, it seemed that, whatever substance the metahuman was on, it wasn't conducive toward long-term planning or risk assessment, because the reminder of his surefire tip had the man grinning like a loon. "Yeah," he grinned. "I do have a tip, don't I?" "That you do," Erich nodded insincerely, as he started to count out cash from the register. Naturally, the debt defaulted. The junkie's hot tip turned out to be hot air. The would-be supervillain showed up at his store not even a day later. The guy whined, cajoled, and begged, but Erich was unyielding. The contract had been clear. Ultimately, the junkie left in defeat, leaving Erich with half a ton of artificer-designed power armor. Not that he cared about its current configuration. In fact, he considered it something of an eyesore. No, it was the materials that made up the suit that held his interest. He could flip those power cells for a few grand each, maybe more if he was smart about it. It would take a little time, but he would have his money in the end. So he figured he could be forgiven for feeling cautiously optimistic when Hardlight's goons stepped into his store. That feeling promptly vanished when he saw who was leading them. In another organization, it might have been considered beneath the boss's daughter to go around shaking down small businesses for protection money, but given the relatively small size of Hardlight's gang, it was pretty much an inevitability that even his daughter sometimes had to partake of the menial tasks. "Sarah, you look as beautiful as ever." "Why, thank you, Erich." The woman in question grinned in a manner that exposed far too many teeth. "You always know how to brighten a girl's day." "Why, I'm simply stating the obvious, my dear." He wasn't even lying. The blonde woman was just as gorgeous as all metahumans tended to be. Of course, in this case, she was beautiful in the same way that particularly venomous plants could be. Eye-catching and colorful, but virulently deadly to anyone that got too close. An example of which could be seen in the way that electricity started to visibly arc along her fingertips as she sighed. "Of course, the reason you're always so free with a compliment is because you never have Daddy's cut ready." Erich struggled not to wince as the acrid stink of ozone filtered through the air. "Which is a shame," she said. "I actually enjoy visiting you, Erich. It's nice to deal with a man with a little class. Doubly so when he's a cutie like you." She winked. "I have 3,000. Erich grinned weakly, sweat beading on his brow as the crackle of the woman's power grew in intensity. "Only 3,000, she pouted. "That's not nearly good enough, Erich. The rules say 5,000, and I can't give you a pass this month. Sorry, lover, but Daddy's starting to wonder if I'm going soft." She didn't even blink as behind her, one of her goons shoved over a display, sending electrical components clattering to the floor as it came down with a crash. "I have something else, though," Erich shouted before the carnage could begin in earnest. For just a moment he feared the goons would trash the place anyway, but Sarah held up a hand for them to stop just as one was about to tip over another display. "Oh?" The woman tilted her head. "It's in the back," he said hurriedly. "I'll show you." "Stay here, boys," the woman called. "I'm going to see what dearest..."